Good morning. It's been a very focused meditation this morning, way more so than sometimes. Let me just get into it. The OPPT, CVACs, Visualization, and Joy is the title that I chose. And the blurb goes like this. I was surprised that the predominant message coming to me in this morning's meditation involved an email that I got last night about yesterday's video. It read, "Please give me one example where any of these focused meditations has done anything on this planet. You can't think things differently. You have to feel them. So I am sorry that you believe that sitting around wishing for things to be different actually manifests in the physical. It does not. You want things to change, then you focus your feelings and direct them. Why are people so afraid of their anger? Just more programming from New Age religions." That's the end of the quote or the email that I received. My thought and feeling is that this is important for the OPPT, the CVACs, relationships, and everything else that affects our co-creations. It is, as Dr. Mary always said, thought plus feeling plus demonstration or action equals our result or manifestation. And I noticed I had an extra word in there that shouldn't be there. Okay, yeah, there it goes. Let's just take that out while I'm remembering it. Save it. I had an amazing day yesterday. Uh, I have to say that my feelings were up and down because I got some messages from and stories from some people that were disappointing, to say the least. And I always feel them deeply, uh, most especially when it's something that touches me close to home. But I chose to go to a meeting last night where a lady that I had just met recently was going to share her story and uh, share with us how to, I don't remember what the title of her thing was, how to affect everyone positively. And there wasn't a large group there. It was in a friend's house that I hadn't been to for a while. But it was interesting that of the group of us that were there were 9 of us, I think, 9 or 10 altogether. And more than one person in that room, including the speaker, has gone through a significant amount of challenges in our lives, and yet turned them around. So last night was no exception, and I might come back to that a little bit, but I want to go back to the message that this individual asked. And then I go, after I type the blurb and everything, I go there and there's some more dialogue between that person and a person who asked a question of there. That was actually a secondary comment. This is a YouTube thread on yesterday's video. I believe it was yesterday's video, wasn't it? Let me look. Yes, it was yesterday's video. So anybody that wants to go to YouTube and go to yesterday's video, you can see the whole thing. I'm not going to read all of the dialogue that goes back and forth there between these two individuals. But as I woke up this morning, this, as I said, was the predominant theme, co-creation again. And I'm realizing as I'm sitting in the meditation room how much this affects what we as a human race are doing right now. And it involves the OPPT, the CVACs, which are the OPPT, if you're listening for the first time, is the One People's Public Trust. The CVACs are Creators Value Asset Centers, and that's each of us. We are much more valuable than we think, but we have forgotten. A lot of people, a lot of humans have forgotten who we are. Some humans don't care. But those of us that are involved in helping make tomorrow's world a little bit nicer world than the one we've been used to, it's important for us to understand some of the dynamics, and he referred to it as New Age programming. Look, we've all been programmed. We've been programmed old age, new age, and every way in between. And I'd much rather be programmed with new thought, which was what Dr. Mary would call it. New thought means thinking it differently, seeing it from a different perspective, seeing it from the perspective of the divine, seeing it from the perspective of the universe is watching out for us and wants our highest good. From that perspective, thinking of it from that perspective. We've been so well trained in thinking of it from the perspective of evil people or evil beings are out to take advantage of us, and as the Bible says, the devil as a roaring lion walketh about seeking whom he may devour. And that thought is predominant in a lot of fundamentalist people that live in fear. In fact, people that won't even be considered fundamentalist or religious or anything still have that mindset. And we do need to get beyond that programming, but it's old world programming that we need to get beyond, not new age programming. We are creating a new age. We are in a new energy. And it's really important that we understand what this writer says. It's not only about sitting around and imagining or wishful thinking a new world. There's other steps that are involved, and feeling he or she is absolutely correct that this is an important element. And not only that Bruce Lipton, the other person in the thread, is directing this individual to Bruce Lipton, but Greg Braden talks about the importance of feeling, and actually Drunvalo Melchizedek and a lot of people talk about the importance of feeling it. Even Bashar and other channeled messages, you have to feel it. It's not just sitting around thinking it, but he or she wanted one example. It has been proven that when a group of meditators get together and meditate on a common theme, world peace, the incidence of violence and crime and every other negative, if you will, decreases during those times of intense focus where people gather together and combine their energies for a particular goal or a particular purpose. And that is measurable, and you can find it where people do that. But what does it is the combination of the thought or the wishful thinking combined with the element of feeling or the emotion that you're focusing toward the intent. And that brings into manifestation the thing intended. Now, he or she asked, why are people so afraid of their anger? And that's actually a very good question, because anger is actually a step up from guilt and shame, and it's a step up even from fear. It's a higher vibration, if you will. It may not be the most positive vibration, but anger will lead to your courage, and your courage will lead to your willingness, and your willingness will lead to all of the other emotions that help create a different outcome than the one we've been experiencing. And that's the value of the OPPT, and it's the value of our Creator's Value Asset Centers when we recognize the potential that's within each of us to focus our thought and our feeling and to take action. As David Icke said, he had the non-comply dance. Okay, we get together, and instead of just being in the anger and yelling anger at the other side, we start to do what was talked about last night in the meeting, the Ho'oponopono, although I was the only one that kept using that word, but others were using the process of thank you, forgive me, I love you, thank you, or I don't even have it in the right order, but they're the 4 steps of Ho'oponopono, look it up. But anyway, the lady that spoke and another lady that was there who's also a social worker, counselor, both brought up the process of Ho'oponopono. Now, as I said, people in the meeting last night have gone through some really hard stuff. I mean, really hard stuff, including the lady who developed blindness and is legally blind, as what, 2300 and 2800 vision and one eye in the other eye, and she's legally blind, and she had her seeing eye dog there last night, and she's actually turned her blindness into becoming a yoga instructor, a blind yoga instructor. And she's been written up in the New York Daily News within the past 2 weeks, and taken under the wings of one of the well-known and respected yoga teachers in this country, in the United States. And she turned her lemons into lemonade. And the speaker went through awful, awful things in her life. I mean, awful things that would have destroyed most people. I mean, but she remembered one thing that took her through. Her 9th grade teacher, when he was asking all of the students, what do you want to be when you grow up? Now, she's 14 years old at this point. 14. And she was the first one with her hand up and the last one that the teacher selected. And she says, I want to be a cardiologist. And he looked at her and pointed at her and he said, if anyone can achieve it, can achieve what they want, you can. He gave her a nugget of truth. He believed in her. He saw her determination and her ability. She was a top student. And right after that, her life began to fall apart. I mean, it's her story, and it's not up to me to tell her story. But what she did to turn her life around, with all of the things that happened, she was forced into a marriage right after that. As a 14-year-old girl, got pregnant right away, and had, at 15 years old, had a baby. And again, it's not up to me to tell her story. But the point that I'm making is this. We've all suffered adversity. We've all been challenged by things that happen in our lives. And we're becoming more aware of the dynamics of these things than ever before. And we're learning things like Ho'oponopono, which is Dr. Yu Lin going into a psychiatric ward and just saying, taking the chart of the patients and going through a process of responsibility. I'm sorry. Forgive me. I love you. Thank you. I'm sorry. Forgive me. I love you. Thank you. And feeling it. Looking at this patient, looking at this situation, looking at the world we're living in. I'm sorry. Forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I know I reversed it that time. But the feelings come up. And the intent of Dr. Yu Lin was to help those patients, and he didn't even talk to them, but they began to get better. Google his story. Google his story. He talks a lot with Dr. Bruce Lipton, who is in the thread here. The biology of belief, but the importance of compassion and feeling. These are the energies we have to bring into the OPPT, because this is our trust. Forget the organization, forget the legalities, forget all of the things that people say good or bad about it. We are entrusted to co-create the world we're going to live in tomorrow. We are the Creator's value asset centers. We are the ones who need to join our hearts and our minds together individually and collectively. May it be done in relationships. May couples get together and in the joy of their loving one another. May they agree together on bringing their energies and their focus into changing situations in our personal lives and in the world that we all experience together. We can do it, folks. We can do this. It's so important. It's so important to allow your heart to love and to experience the joy. And if anger is where you are, to get there, go through the steps. Go from the shame and the guilt and the fear. Go through these emotions. They're all ours. Build on them. Build up to the place where you have the courage to stand in your truth and to tell your story and to express your feelings and your thoughts, because you are important and you can do anything you want. But then get together with somebody else, one other person, to multiply your energy times 10. Each of you multiplies your energy times 10, and you co-create the world that we want to see. You put your focus and you create joy together. It might be making love with each other. It might not involve your sexuality at all, but it all involves our emotions. It all involves our common commitment to bringing forth something that is good, something that is better for everybody. And what is good for everybody may not always be the same thing, because everybody is going to be where they're going to be. As I'm thinking back to a conversation I had with Gina yesterday, but we're all creating the world that we're going to live in tomorrow. And we need to harness the power of our thought, the power of our emotion, and the power of our action to create the result that we want, which is peace on earth, which is everybody has the ability to choose and to live the life that they want without being coerced and without being imprisoned. We have the ability to create a better tomorrow. And I encourage you that I believe in you. No matter who you are, no matter where you are, I believe in you and I love you. Thank you for listening. Namaste.